The moment an OnlyFans model becomes a killer is what we're getting into today on stream. Grab your snacks, put your feet up, get yourself ready, get yourself immersed. And if you really want to be part of the truth, make sure you get yourself here on stream live every single day. Without further ado, we're gonna get into this. I'm not too sure how long this shit runs for, so I do like to waffle, and I think it's helpful. I have to kind of think on the spot right now, and I'm thinking on the spot is what I'm doing, so we're about to get into this. Yo, True, what we telling, what we saying though, man? Everyone lit. We had drinks, did y'all, bitch? Okay, now we already know what we're gonna get into. The moment an OnlyFans model becomes a killer. Maybe if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you sub up, because you know what time it is already. You know how we doing. We had a few. It's your boy Double O Keys. And like I said, man, we're live on Twitch every single day, man. Get yourself in, man. Get part of them. You know what I'm saying? Get part of that type shit. Come on, man. Let's get it.
On October 18th, 2019, at precisely 8:45 a.m., the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office received a chilling 911 call.
911, what is your emergency?
911. I woke up on my boyfriend here. He was outside this morning. He was cold. He was just drinking. He's cold. I found him outside. The kitchen's a bloody mess. He's not breathing.
Why is the kitchen a bloody mess? Hello?
I don't know. I need paramedic.
All right, stay on the line. I'm going to connect you to fire rescue, okay?
The fuck? Fire and rescue? Don't she need the police?
Hillsborough County Fire Rescue. What's the address of the emergency? And tell me what's wrong.
He is non-responsive.
First responders quickly arrived at the caller's residence at 9801 White Barn Way. Upon arrival, Hillsborough officers were met by 26-year-old Melissa Turner, who was covered in blood. She told first responders the blood was from administering CPR to the victim. She immediately led them to the back of the house where her fiancé, 25-year-old Matthew Trussler, was unresponsive and cold. He was lying face up by the swimming pool with multiple stab wounds and lacerations on his body. The medical unit arrived moments later, but sadly, Matthew was pronounced dead at the scene. Melissa watched as a sheet was laid over his body. Inside the home, there was a trail of blood drops that began in an office on the ground floor. Following the trail led the detectives right to the family room and then to the kitchen. The kitchen was an absolute bloodbath, with items knocked over and scattered all around the room, including a broken glass jar, multiple...
And she's trying to say she doesn't know why it was a bloody mess. You thinking she didn't hear that at all? I don't care how much drink you had. If there's mess every single way and someone's been stabbed, come on now.
Kitchen knives and a switchblade. The blood trail then led to an open back window, continued into the backyard, and ended at Matthew's body. It was safe to say that a major struggle had taken place. And after bleeding out in the kitchen, Matthew used every ounce of life that he had left to escape through the window into the backyard, where he later succumbed to his injuries. All of the evidence was collected, which included a smartwatch that Matthew was still wearing and a home security camera that was installed in the hallway of the house. As a thorough search of the residence and surrounding area commenced, Melissa was brought into the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office for an interview.
How long have you been doing?
2.5 years. We're engaged.
Throughout the interview, Melissa provides bits and pieces of information about her and Matthew's life. Melissa was bullied as a teenager for being overweight, but as she transitioned into young adulthood, she began taking her health and wellness seriously and lost over 100 pounds. This newfound lifestyle gave her the confidence to begin sharing photos of her body anonymously through her Tumblr named Two Thorned Rose. She eventually realized that she could supplement her income if she could somehow monetize what she was doing. So, she became a self-proclaimed CamGirl.
I am Two Thorned Rose. I'm a cam model. I'm an artist. I love fitness.
This was only meant to be temporary, but she was quickly able to quit her 2 part-time retail jobs, and the new business became a full-time gig. In order to maximize her profits, Melissa ended up finding her niche in horror-themed cosplay adult films. Melissa was good enough at her job to be making a substantial amount of money, but some of her fans believed that she would take things too far. One viewer stated that she shot some really crazy stuff and that she was always into blood. In 2017, she met Matthew on Tinder, and the two quickly fell for each other. After 2 years of dating, they were able to buy a house where they began building their life together. As romantic as this love story was, the detectives were more interested in the hours leading up to Matthew's death.
Let me take us, or can you take us back to yesterday, from the time you guys woke up and to kind of how we got here today.
Yeah. As much as I
As much as I
That's
can,
what
you already know she's
That's all we're
capping.
asking for.
Melissa told the detectives that the day before started like any other. She woke up at around 4:30 a.m. and worked until about 8 a.m. Afterwards, she and Matthew walked their dog. And then Melissa exercised in their garage while Matthew cleaned up around the house. They visited a Home Depot and then a Publix grocery store to grab lunch, which Matthew cooked at home. After sending some emails and doing some more cleaning, they ate dinner, ended the night with a few drinks, and played some card games.
That's what we would do on a night when we didn't have to get up and do anything the next morning. We had drinks. He always liked drinking. He was a drinker.
Did he have would you say he had a drinking problem or no?
He had a drinking problem.
Okay.
Oh, that's cap.
Mom will tell you the same thing. He will admit it himself.
What about you?
Me? No.
Cap.
Besides the alcohol last night, were there any drugs?
No.
We're not the drug police. So I'm just asking.
No, he would never touch any of that. Because that was a deal breaker for me, and he knew that. He knew if he touched anything like that again, that he would lose me.
Okay.
The peak of Matthew's drug abuse was in 2015. He then decided to get his life back together and move in with his brother. By the time Matthew met Melissa in 2017...
Hold the front door. Look at Broski's nose, chat. You know what drugs he was doing, innit? You know what drugs he... This is Broski in the blue suit. You know what drugs he was on, innit? Yeah. Hey, yo. You know what drugs he was on, innit?
Interview.
You know what drugs Matthew was doing?
What time did you go to bed last night?
I mean, like I said, we were having some drinks. But I remember getting really tired around 10, and I just wanted to go to bed. And 10:30-ish was when I remember, 10:30, 11 maybe, is when I remember going to curl up on the chair. Because I slept on that big chair that's in my little office area downstairs.
Then how did she not...
Melissa slept...
How did she not hear anything then if she slept downstairs and not upstairs in the bedroom? How did she not hear anything?
Slept in the next morning and woke up around 8:30 a.m.
I don't know. I normally don't sleep in. But whatever time, I remember waking up and I didn't see him around. I saw the kitchen was... I didn't see him outside at first. It was cold. I pulled him to the ground.
I know this must be very difficult for you.
It doesn't even seem believable though. That's the maddest thing.
Did you hear anything?
Am I the only one?
No.
Last night?
No.
Like in the night?
No.
What do you think happened?
I mean, you understand just from our standpoint, obviously, we weren't there last night. If you could just take your best guess of what you thought could have happened.
I don't know.
The detectives asked Melissa if there was a chance that Matthew's death could have been an accident.
He always told me he had a feeling he was going to die young.
What the detectives didn't know yet was that back at the crime scene, a medical examiner had arrived to evaluate Matthew's body. He had a defensive wound on his right forearm, a large laceration to his chest, a small cut to the right shoulder, and a large stab wound on his back. It was clear that Matthew's death was no accident.
Do you have any injuries on your person?
No.
Any scratches or cuts or anything?
Yeah, I have a little cut. Right there.
And that's from Matthew trying to stop her.
And that's from what?
Making up an idea.
I think it's from grabbing the glass. Wait.
Do you know where
I remember it was a hard rock glass, I believe, in the kitchen, and I think I picked up a piece of it on the floor.
Was there any fighting or arguing last night? Do you all have a history of any kind of fighting or arguing?
Nothing. I mean, couples argue sometimes. We never really fought.
Bad liar.
We would argue.
She's a bad liar, chap. She's a very bad liar. It's getting crazy.
We were having a great time.
The detectives decided that now would be a good time for a break so that Melissa's injuries could be photographed and bandaged. DNA and fingerprints were also collected. During this time, they touched base with the investigators who had processed the crime scene. They learned about Matthew's defensive wounds and the stab wound to his back, ruling out the theory that Matthew could have been responsible for his own death. But there was more. While investigators were canvassing the area surrounding the crime scene, they discovered that one of the neighbors had a Nest surveillance camera which could see just over Melissa and Matthew's fence into their backyard. While this camera angle wasn't ideal, the camera also recorded audio, and an intense altercation was captured between Melissa and Matthew around 4 to 4:30 a.m. that morning. With this new piece of evidence uncovered, the second half of Melissa's interview quickly turned into a full-on interrogation.
Crazy.
Tell me about what happened around 4 o'clock this morning. Was there any arguing?
At 4 o'clock? Not that I know of.
Were you asleep at 4 o'clock this morning?
To my knowledge, yes.
8:45 is when the call came in, so you said about 20 minutes, maybe, even if you lost track of time, say you wake up at 8. Any time between, but at 11 last night to 8 this morning, did you have any argument?
No, not that I know of.
So, we've been talking to the neighbors. There's cameras all over the neighborhood. There's Ring doorbell cameras and everything.
Okay.
Okay. Around 4 o'clock this morning, something happened at your house. That's why we're asking.
What were the neighbors saying? What?
It ain't what the neighbors are saying. It's what's on video. There's arguing coming from the house. It's a male and a female. If
it was at 4 in the morning, I will tell you right now, I did not stay up until 4 in the morning.
Although she initially sticks to her guns, the detectives are persistent and her story quickly begins to change.
The argument was him waking me up because he was a night person, as I've told you guys. Him staying up till 4 in the morning whenever he got drunk is not unheard of. I would say he woke me up. We got in an argument over that. Being up at 4 in the morning, drunk off your ass, wasn't doing anybody any good. And that was what the argument was about then.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, you do have a memory of what happened, right?
Yes.
At 4 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
Melissa chalks up the argument to her simply being upset about a drunk Matthew waking her up at 4 a.m. But considering the intensity of the argument captured on the surveillance camera, and of course Matthew's gruesome death, the detectives believe something much more explosive happened that Melissa was not divulging. So they continue pressuring Melissa to tell the truth, and it's not long before she shares a darker version of her story.
Talking about it more now, thinking back on it, this is from me grabbing a knife out of his hand. I swear he'd never hit me, never laid a hand on me, even when drunk. I will not let his name go down like that. But I do remember pissing him off when I tried to get the knife out of his hand.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, my neck isn't from me. My jaw's sore, like I got hit. And I remember being thrown over the counter. He got pissed off, got a little more aggressive with what he was doing.
Okay, and how did you react?
I was scared at first. I'm not trying to be dumb about this. I'm a lawyer.
It's heavy!
As soon as Melissa asks for a lawyer, the detectives conclude the interview. As Melissa sits alone in the interrogation room, she becomes paranoid and begins to panic.
This can't be my life.
It's over.
No.
Panic attack.
What is happening?
Panic attack.
Could you at least come in here and keep me company? I feel like I'm gonna fall apart. I can see you.
Oh, it's heavy, chop.
Do I just get left in here now?
It's heavy, chop.
Going to freeze me out? Can we please turn the AC off in here?
Oh.
Oh, God, it's so cold.
Oh. How the fuck's the leg up there?
Am I not allowed a blanket or anything?
Oh, stop it. Your legs go over here, there, everywhere. Shit. Hey, yo!
We were going to Walmart today. We were going to get Halloween decorations.
Someone eventually comes back and they collect Melissa's clothes as evidence, and they bring her some McDonald's. Right after this, Melissa was arrested and charged with the second-degree murder of Matthew Trussler. In subsequent interviews with Matthew's family, they strongly denied the allegations made by Melissa regarding Matthew's mental health. The only negative thing they had to say was that Matthew had gradually grown distant from the family, which they believe was due to Melissa intentionally manipulating and isolating him.
Wow.
Thanks to Melissa's lucrative career, she was easily able to pay her bond. She then participated in a media interview professing her innocence and sharing her story.
We ended up struggling back and forth for the knife. I got my hand sliced open. He had pushed me into the countertop. I had marks on my stomach from it. And then
just had time to make up a story, I
he
think.
had his hands around my throat. Losing him, losing his family that I loved as my family.
Melissa's trial began on February 14th, 2022. In their opening statement, the prosecution pointed to the fact that Melissa had dialed 911 4 hours after the incident, pretending to not know what had happened. They argued that Melissa's actions and behavior before and after the incident indicated that she was a calculated killer. Additionally, the prosecutors were adamant that her inconsistent statements were attempts to deceive authorities as well as downplay her involvement. Once she realized the detectives were onto her, she fabricated a narrative of self-defense. The defense argued that Melissa did in fact act in self-defense, and that Matthew's death was a result of his own aggressive behavior. They also suggested that the neighbor's surveillance audio was manipulated to amplify Melissa's voice, making it sound louder than it actually was.
So it could be that maybe one voice on the recording was not amplified and that another voice on the recording was greatly amplified.
Okay.
Throughout the course of the trial, all of the evidence was revealed to the jury. The crime scene photos, which showed the aftermath of a brutal attack on Matthew, the bloody knives, one of which they believed to be the murder weapon, and the surveillance footage with the audio of Melissa and Matthew's argument. On top of these items, they also presented footage to the court that was recorded by a motion-activated camera that was inside Melissa and Matthew's home. At 3:39 a.m., Melissa is seen running towards the office. At 3:42 a.m., Matthew walks past the camera towards the kitchen with Melissa right behind him, a disgusted look on her face. At 4:09 a.m., she is captured stopping near the front door and talking to herself. The prosecutors pointed out a faint hue of red on her right hand, possibly blood. The defense fought against this, saying that the footage was not clear enough to draw any conclusions on the state of her hand. She turns around.
She's looking demonic and that. And it all makes sense because if we go back and that, she was all talking to herself, going crazy and that. And now she's all, but they're both walking back and forth on some demonic shit. Chat, she does demonic porn. Oh no, it's getting heavy, chat. Oh shit, it's getting heavy, chat. It's getting all over the place, heavy, chat. It's getting all over the place, heavy, chat. Oh my god, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It's scary, bro. It's scary, bro. It's scary, bro. This is actually scary, bro. She just demonic porn. She's walking past doing demonic faces. He's walking past with no top off. She's all in the fucking, in the interrogation room. Moving all crazy and shit. It was heavy, chat. I don't give a fuck what anyone tells me. It's heavy, bro.
These items, they also presented footage to the court that was recorded by a motion-activated camera.
Whilst there's a school right there looking at her.
And Matthew's home. At 3:39 a.m., Melissa is seen running towards the office. At 3:42 a.m., Matthew walks past the camera towards the kitchen with Melissa right behind him, a disgusted look on her face. At 4:09 a.m., she is captured stopping near the front door and talking to herself. The prosecutors pointed out a faint hue of red on her right hand, possibly blood. The defense fought against this, saying that the footage was not clear enough to draw any conclusions on the state of her hand. She turns around and heads back into the kitchen. The final clip is 4 hours later. At 8:35 a.m., Melissa can be seen wandering around the house with what appears to be a bad case of bedhead. And remember the smartwatch retrieved from Matthew's wrist back at the crime scene. Investigators analyzed the data from that watch, and it revealed that his heart stopped at 4:31 a.m., further solidifying the timeline of the crime. When it was the defense's turn to call witnesses, they made the bold decision to call Melissa herself to the stand.
There were times where he would push me and punch the walls beside my head. He would stare off at some corners, and he would tell me that there's a demon standing right there. There were times where he would talk in a different voice.
Did that frighten you?
God, yes.
So they're both on it.
I was terrified.
Nah, don't act like you ain't both on it. You was both on it.
According to Melissa, Matthew became violent during an argument. He choked her, threw her across a counter, and proceeded to grab a knife. Apparently, a head injury along with alcohol caused Melissa to black out at one point, but she still remembers when Matthew put down the knife to start strangling her again. In self-defense, she grabbed the knife off the counter and stabbed him in the back. Nearing the end of her testimony, her defense thought it was crucial to address the elephant in the room. Melissa lying to the detectives and changing her story during her interrogation.
They was both on that.
In your first interview, you didn't go into these details with the detective. Why is that?
I was confused. I was uncomfortable.
The demon was telling her not to.
My head was pounding. I had told them so many times.
The demon was telling her not to.
My head, and I told them that I couldn't think straight because of it.
During cross-examination, the prosecution bombarded Melissa with questions about her drastically inconsistent statements.
Today, in 2022, you now claim you had some kind of head injury, correct?
Yes.
And now, in 2022, you speak of some kind of blackout.
Now,
correct?
In 2022.
Yes, correct. Okay.
She was also questioned about the things she was heard saying on the surveillance camera footage.
You said 4:33 a.m. So effing died, right?
No, I have no recollection of that. I explained
That's the
my
fucking
side
demon
and why
telling
I
you,
did
bro.
what I did.
You're crying right now. Is that what's happening? Are you crying right now?
Do you know what tears look like?
Are you crying because you can just cry on cue?
I'm crying because my life is on the line right now. I'm crying because I still remember all those places, all those plans.
The defense also called the medical examiner to the stand. They stated that in their report, Matthew's blood alcohol level was so high at the time of his death that it was nearly 5 times the legal limit to drive in Florida. Although he wasn't driving anywhere, they suggested that this high level of intoxication, along with his mental health issues, caused Matthew to become erratic, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. On February 18th, 2022, after 5 days of testimony, Melissa Turner's murder trial wrapped up.
Your duty is to determine if the defendant has been proven guilty or not in accord with the law.
So I actually get, like, not let off, but less time, because it's proven that it's a possibility that he could have actually been on her, like, doing stuff that, you know what I mean, hurting her. It's a possibility. So I actually get less time, but I don't even believe that he was doing that personally. I believe that it might have been a bit aggressive, like, talking shit to her, but I just believe she snapped personally. That's my opinion anyway.
And after 7 hours, they reached a unanimous verdict.
Publish the verdict and poll the jurors, please.
We, the jury, find as follows as to the charge. The defendant is guilty of murder in the second degree.
Melissa Turner was found guilty of second-degree murder using a weapon. Her sentencing hearing was on March 18th, 2022. Before a sentence was given, Matthew's mother provided a touching impact statement to the court.
Wow.
Believe it or not, I don't believe that your greatest crime is having murdered Matthew. But actually, it's what you've done to his memory in the aftermath of his death in order to preserve your own life.
That's
the story that you have contrived has caused me as much pain as his death. If Matthew's drinking was escalating and he was depressed, it was because of a lifestyle that you involved him in. It was not consistent with who he was and with the way that he was raised. If anyone was a victim of domestic violence, abuse, and manipulation, sadly, it was Matthew.
Melissa's mother also spoke to the court. She defended her daughter, stating that Melissa was a good person who always tried to avoid conflict.
This jury did not believe her claims of self-defense, nor does this court.
Melissa Turner was sentenced to 20.5 years in prison. Following her sentencing, Melissa spoke to the court one last time. She tearfully expressed how much she loved Matthew and never meant to hurt him.
Matthew lost his life, and I lost the man that I loved.
No, you took his life.
I didn't want to do that to him.
Oh,
The
God,
last
man.
thing that he wanted, and I knew it because he always tried to hide everything, his drinking, his mental health, and how depressed he was. He tried to hide it from everyone. The last thing that he would want was for the world to know any of it.
Melissa currently resides at the Lowell Correctional Institution in Marion County, Florida.
Yeah,
she
she
is set to be
deserves it.
released in 2042.
Yeah, man. She deserves it, chat. Because she's horrible. You can tell, man. She was lying the whole way through that. It was just straight cap. It was just straight waffle. You could tell, bro, my thoughts, but she was waffling. She was chatting absolute doo-doo. You know what I'm saying, chat? Oh, my God. I didn't believe a word of what she was saying. And what the mother said confirmed it. Do you know what I'm saying? Literally, like, it's what you've done worse is made it out as if my man was depressed and this and that, and he's doing all these things to you, and that's basically hurt her more, or as equally as the death. That's deep, bro. That's deep, bro. Sure,